Boredom Breakers, Eric here with an exclusive interview with Michael Anderson, founder and managing editor of Aries Magazine. Michael, so great to meet you. Thank you for taking time to answer a few questions and getting the Boredom Breakers out there to know a little bit more about you and your magazine.
Oh, excellent. I appreciate the opportunity.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Michael, what drove your inspiration to start Aries Magazine?
Well, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to fill a void. There are a lot of gaming magazines, there are a lot of games. What we're trying to do is bring the two together. And there are a few products that out there these days that do combine some type of gaming magazine and some type of game, but there wasn't anything in the science fiction realm. So we thought we'd bring a new product to market. There have been efforts in the past to do this sort of thing. Back in the very early 1980s, there was a company called SPI, that unfortunately for a lot of people who miss that company has gone out of business a long time ago. But they actually published a magazine called Aries. It was a science fiction magazine, stories on the inside, and a game packaged with. We're not trying to do a duplicate of that. We do like the name, so we thought we'd recreate the name, but we're not really trying to make an exact copy of that magazine. Another magazine from my childhood that I thought I would really like to get my hooks in and bring back was Omni. You may remember that. It was a very thick science fiction, fantasy oriented magazine. It had some hard science in it. Very good product, at least in its early years. And so we're looking to capture some of that thunder, bring something to market, and see if people respond to it.
You address in your editorial that while print may not be dead, it is certainly unwell. And I like what you said about that. With that kind of confession about the medium of print, why was it so important to put Aries out there as a print publication? Because you're creating a magazine with a lot of fiction, science fiction stories, and you said in your editorial that you very well could have put it as an online e-reader, but that's something you didn't want to do. Why is print important to you as a publisher?
There are a couple of answers to that question. Let me see if I can get to the root of it. The first issue is the board game. By attaching a board game to the magazine, the board game is not something that's going to translate to a Kindle, for example. Right. We could package an application and you'd sell the application online. We could package the content as a book or a magazine and provide that through any of the online retailers for people's e-readers, but it wouldn't be one cohesive kit.
Okay. By
packaging them together, what we get to do is we get to try to mate stories with the game, things that are related. One of the writers, or I'm sorry, one of the subscribers wrote in and suggested to us, and I thought the suggestion was fantastic, and I'm going to try to leverage it. In our first issue of the magazine, we released War of the Worlds, the game, which is strongly based on the H.G. Wells short story.
Right, it's on the back here, advertised, War of the Worlds.
Sure.
Great.
And it's an excellent game, and it's, again, it's heavily based on H.G. Wells' story, and what the subscriber said is, why in the magazine did we not include an article, for example, that told people a little bit about H.G. Wells?
Okay.
And that's the very kind of linkage that we're really looking for, that will tie the game and the magazine closely together.
So you talked about the necessity of print, and you said how you very well could make it an application that people could have opened up on their smartphones or maybe on their computer, but again, you choose tabletop. Is there something important about the tangible aspect of both a magazine and a tabletop game? Why is the tangibility, if you will, so important to the medium?
Well, I think that there's a social aspect to gaming, and people download different games for their phones, things like, let's say, Angry Birds.
Sure.
Very popular, but it's something that someone does when standing in line at the DMV. It's an activity, and it isolates you from the community. When you have a board game, you have to set it up on a table, you sit across from one or more opponents, and those opponents become part of the activity. Rather than separating people out, giving them a reason to draw a wall around themselves, it breaks the walls down and creates a community. Further, another thing that you can do is, if you download content, let's say the science fiction, there's a question as to whether or not you can share it with your buddy. If you buy a magazine, there's no question. You absolutely can hand it off to the next person, and the next person. It can sit on your shelf for a month and then go off to your buddy's shelf. And it becomes a collaborative thing. Hey, did you read that story? Well, what did you think about it? And now it creates conversation. It shares ideas. Because even when I give the magazine to you and you give it to the next person, you may not have the magazine anymore, but you get to keep everything you read.
You have a lot of experience in the gaming field. Where did this love for gaming originate, and how did you come to find yourself to be able to be a part of this growing gaming industry?
When a person is in high school, they tend to choose a path. Some people go to drama classes, some people are jocks, and all the kids that are left behind become gamers.
Good answer, okay.
Okay. As for the actual board games, those are folks who tend to be more engineering oriented. They look at a board the way that a chess master looks at a chessboard. That it's all numbers, it's all theory. Try to build a strategy, try to prosecute a strategy.
Excellent. So you're saying that you were a jock in high school?
Funny. No. But I've certainly been working as an engineer one way or another for most of my career.
So your love for gaming originated in high school, and then how did you find yourself to be in a place where you became a figure in the industry?
Well, perseverance. Some people are satisfied just being passive, just buying the game off the shelf, taking it home and playing it.
Right.
But when you're an engineer, you can't leave well enough alone. You have to tamper with things.
Okay.
I can tinker with this and I can make it better.
Okay.
And so you start off by buying your first game, finding out all the things that you disagree with or don't like about it, and then coming up with your own house rules. And eventually, you get rid of all of that and you just design your own games.
With your magazine containing short fiction, as well as a board game, who would you say your target audience is? I know, yes, we're talking about this magazine has to do with gamers, but could lovers of fiction pick up your magazine as well too, or science fiction?
Sure. The presence of the game is more to take people who are not hardcore gamers and bring them into the fold of being gamers. The bulk of the product that you're getting, 11 ounces of the 17 ounces, is the fiction component of the magazine.
Right.
And what we'd like to do is find people who like science fiction, fantasy fiction, horror, because we cover all those genres. Some of the pulp adventure stories, authors like H. Rider Haggard or H.P. Lovecraft, those are the sorts of people we'd like to find, new and upcoming authors who write stories in those veins and bring them into the magazine. People who like any of those genres. If you're just a horror reader, you'll like our magazine because 2 out of every 9 stories are probably horror related. 3 or 4 of them will be set off on a spaceship or something like that, or some distant future. And so there's something in there for everyone. There's a nugget in there, but we've provided you with this extra content. We try to help you expand your own horizons.
Mike, tell us a little bit more about the fiction pieces in your magazine. Do you solicit authors? Do you have an open call for submissions? And what about the board games? How does the editorial staff decide what board games that you're going to include in the magazine?
Those are 2 very different questions, which is good. In the case of the first question, we solicit from the internet. There are a number of websites where up-and-coming authors or somewhat established authors will post short stories. We open up a call. We say we're looking for stories between X number of words and Y number of words.
Sure.
We want these genres. Fill us in. And the response essentially was overwhelming. We got 600 stories in before we could turn the spigot off. We were kind of hoping to cut it off a lot sooner than that. So we're still, even after several months, we're still trying to dig through some of the old fiction. The thing that our authors will like to hear is we will be opening the spigot up again.
Okay.
The thing they won't want to hear is that digging through all of that fiction, we find that our rejection rate is about 92 or 93%.
You know, for our Boredom Break viewers out there, if anybody is a writer of science fiction, horror, all the short genres that your magazine publishes, where should they go if they're curious about submitting their work? Or get information on the next time that you're opening up submissions?
Well, they can visit us at our website, which is aresmagazine.com.
Great.
And Ares is spelled like the Roman or the Greek god,
sure,
not the
Roman Mars.
Correct, but not the zoological symbol.
Ah.
Ares is a zoological symbol, has an I.
That's
Ares,
right.
as a Greek god, does not. A-R-E-S. So aresmagazine.com, and we'll...
Crazy Greeks.
Well, I think they're just economical. They save all the I's because they're narcissistic. So in any event, you can go there, you can visit our blog, and when we're ready to open the spigot again, or if you've got a special contribution that you want to make, we're always happy to look at something unusual. If you've got something that isn't more run-of-the-mill. We're always happy to communicate with folks.
Sure.
The same with the games. Now, we always have an open call for games. We're always interested in looking at any game submission someone has. And from time to time, we even run a game contest. We just concluded a contest about 2 weeks ago, and we're going through right now trying to evaluate all of the different submissions we got to select a winner. Winner gets a prize.
Awesome.
And if we like it so much that we want to publish it in the magazine, and it will fit if the size of the map, the length of the rule book, and so
Sure.
forth meets our criteria, then $1,000 check, boom,
Wow.
right in the game.
$1,000. You hear that, board game creators out there? $1,000. Your board game, your tabletop game, could be in a magazine, and you could be walking out with a check for $1,000. You used Kickstarter for some of the initial funding of the magazine. What was your experience using the crowdfunding resource, and you see it having benefits for other creative projects for people out there? What would you recommend?
It was my first Kickstarter project. It went well. We had a couple of bumps trying to learn how to interface with Amazon, how to properly work with the individual questions and commentary that we were getting from our contributors. But we were successful on our first go-round. It's definitely something we'd like to chase again.
Great. What kind of incentives were you offering to people who donated?
We had a lot of different swag items. Green bags, buttons, badges, patches, even a couple of people won jackets. We had
Cool.
T-shirts. There were opportunities to buy what we call a collector subscription,
Okay.
where you're getting 2 copies of the magazine, each one shrink-wrapped separately. So you've got one to crack open and read and enjoy, and the other one you can put in the vault, and
Gotcha.
20 years later you can pull it out, dust it off, and take it straight to eBay.
Awesome. So some of the backings were like subscriptions as well, and
Sure.
things of the such.
Now, there were a few folks who were willing to be, shall we say, very, very generous, and we love them. They put in a lot of extra money, and in exchange for that, not only do they get mentioned inside the credits of the magazine
Okay, right. I saw
as
that.
honored backers,
Yeah.
but a few of them were able to get their visages on the actual playing pieces in the War of Worlds game.
Oh, that is a really cool incentive. I always love, like, when I see Kickstarter projects to see, like, what the creme de la creme backing is. Like, it's so bizarre and weird in terms of, like, the originality of, like, what you get. Things like that. Like, you get your a caricature of yourself in the game. I think those are so cool. I could never afford to donate on that level, but I dream.
You can always sell a kidney.
Do you have any other ideas that you can share with us, what we may be able to look forward to in future issues of how you tell your narratives?
Oh, absolutely. In this issue, we have the first installment of a 6-issue installment of a short story called The Fall.
Oh, okay.
It's almost a novel. It's so long. It must
Excellent.
be, I don't know, 30,000 words, plus or minus. And it tells the story of these 2 geologists who are doing spelunking, gathering rocks and so forth in England. They emerge from their cave to find the entire landscape covered in the deep blankets of snow, and the temperature 20 degrees colder than they would expect. And the story carries through their adventure, so there's a lot to the story. And we're going to try that out, and people may respond very well to having a serialized story, or they may want things more compartmentalized.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, you've got plenty of compartmentalized stories in it, so having something that's serialized that gets people to want to come back and pick up the issue of anything just to read more short fiction, but also to find out what happened, to the characters that they read about last issue.
Well, I don't think our objective is to try to get people addicted that way, or to use the TV series a meme of cliffhangers and that sort of thing. We're not afraid of leveraging that, but the real thing is that we've got a really good story, but it's too long to publish in one issue, so we'll break it up. If that has the effect of cliffhangers or addiction, that's okay. For things that you'll likely see coming up, we will be trying out cartoons. We've contacted a number of professional cartoonists, and we're going to try to use those to help better fill out the column inches inside the publication. We're also definitely going to try to leverage the suggestion that the one subscriber made about trying to tie any game that we do that's based on the work of a famous author, especially one from the distant past. I mean, if the person's still alive, maybe we can talk to them directly.
Right.
We can do an interview with Stephen King sitting next to a story that is otherwise might be based on something that he's done. I'm not really sure what the the copyright ramifications are there. But if we can dance through that, then that would definitely be something we'd prosecute.
Is there a way for your readers to learn more about the contributing authors and the folks that submit their games that you publish?
Well, I think that might be definitely something that we stress either on the website or inside the magazine itself going forward. It isn't something we touched on yet. It was a struggle enough to get through Kickstarter, to get the first magazine out. We had a lot of production issues with a particular print bureau, and we sorted it all out. Everything's fine, but that took so much of our time away that there was certainly some things we can do from a content standpoint to improve the scope, the spectrum of the different kinds of things we do inside the magazine. And having zooming in on one particular author or being able to put author bios up on the website, there's a lot of possibilities there that we haven't exercised yet that we'd love to.
Where can folks go to own their very own copy of Aries Magazine?
Well, they've got a couple of choices. They can obviously go to ariesmagazine.com. We have an online shopping cart. Aries Magazine is published by the bigger company, which is One Small Step Games.
Okay.
And One Small Step Games has an online shopping cart. We have several hundred copies out in the hands of distributors, who in turn hand them out to retailers around the country, so you may be able to find it at your local comic book store.
Okay.
Or perhaps online retailers, that distributors will sell to online retailers who will make it available to you.
Oh, fantastic. Michael, thank you for taking the time to talk to us and the Boredom Breakers out there. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with the magazine. It's, like I said, it's fantastic. It's got great content, comes with an awesome board game, really well put together. Like, the quality of this is just fantastic. Congratulations on the success of the first issue, and I wish you all the luck with future issues down the road. May you be printing until...
We don't want to anymore.
Wait, what? Until you don't want to anymore.
Right.
Until we're all...
The cows come home.
We're on another planet.
Right.
We're all going to end up
until
in the
the
stars.
sun explodes.
That's terrifying. Well, Boredom Breakers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to go to ariesmagazine.com to pick up your very own copy of the first issue and subscribe for future issues. Don't forget to like this video, share this video with your friends out there in the interweb, and subscribe to us if you haven't already. We love you for it. Michael, again, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Oh, I forgot. I'm Eric, and the next round's on me.